What's the dumbest thing an ex ever said to try and win you back? Not so much to win me back, but it's a funny story nonetheless. I had an on-again, off-again sort of volatile relationship in high school and my first semester in college. We were both young and stupid. Crap happens. Anyway, we both had a brief period where we had broken up and were dating other people. We get back together, and several days later, she's got Dave, not his real name, carved into her forearm with a razor. She admits she's cheating on me with him. Final straw for me. I walk. Fast forward 20 years. We're both married and have families. I've run into her on occasion over the years and said hello and exchanged pleasantries. She sent me a Facebook request and I accepted. For a couple of years, we exchanged the usual happy birthday and Merry Christmas wall posts and such, but nothing more than that. One evening, my doorbell rings. Keep in mind, this is now 23 or 24 years after we broke up, and it's her. She's bawling. I'm very puzzled by the whole thing, and she finally tells me that she just got word that Dave, who she hasn't seen in 15 plus years, died of a drug overdose. I told her to get off my frickin' porch. We don't have to be boyfriend and girlfriend, but I don't want you doing it with other people. Is this the part where I say rip inbox? Oh my God, I had a guy tell me this and we weren't even dating. He was a friend of a friend who gave me a ride home once. The whole ride he took wrong turns and went past my neighborhood and kept driving, meanwhile telling me, I just want to take you out to dinner and get to know you and be friends at first, but if I see you even talking to another guy, I'm going to be really peed. Me, here, can you just take me home? You can turn right. Him, hang on. Mutual friend thinks we'd make a good couple, so we should give it a shot, you know? You're a virgin, right? Yeah, my mind blanked after that, and I just inner screamed for him to take me home. What should have been a 5-minute trip turned into a half-hour meandering hostage situation. Ironically, he drove me home because walking by myself at night wasn't safe. He broke up with me by sort of ghosting me after 2 years together. He wouldn't show up when we had plans, then text me later and apologize and say sweet things, but go on to ignore my calls for a week. He set his status to single on Facebook, so I figured it was done and deleted him. Almost a year later, he sent me a text saying he was sorry, that he was willing to talk and answer any questions I had, and that he regretted what he did because I was the second best girlfriend he'd ever had. I crap you not. I told him I didn't need his answers and didn't want to be his friend. He never bothered me after that. My ex ghosted me too. He was that guy that would make you feel all special, then never communicate unless it was on his terms. He stopped talking to me for about 6 months. After the first 2 weeks, I just stopped caring. 6 months later, he calls me asking to go on a date. I'm just like, you have the wrong number. Sorry. I thought that no matter what happened, you'd never leave. Well, perhaps you should have thought a little about that before your alcoholism caused you to lose 3 jobs in a year, caused tremendous stress on me to support us on my meager salary, and then finally spiral into a 3-day-long bender where you wrecked your car while drunk and then went drinking for 36 hours because you were upset and made me still question whether or not you effed someone else in a self-pity-fueled bout of hysteria. God damn it. Years later, I'm still peed off at that comment. I don't blame you. I'm just reading this stuff and I'm peed at that comment. God's sakes, people. But once you'd proved yourself to me and I realized I could trust you, I stopped cheating on you. When we got together, he was still sleeping with his ex. He thought everyone cheated because he did, so after 4 months he realized I hadn't and wasn't going to cheat on him. He graciously decided to stop putting his D in other women. His logic was astounding. I had to pull over my car because she was threatening to jump out of the passenger door. When I finally pulled over on the side of the road, we were about a mile from her place when she started marching down the road. I have a bunch of crap in my trunk because I picked her up from practice that afternoon. If you don't take me back, then I'm going to tell my parents that you R'd me. Continues marching toward her place with tears down her face. I broke up with her that night because she stole my car, punched my best friend in the face, hit on my other friend, and then talked badly of my parents. Yikes. I wanted that baby. We were dating in high school. I was 15 when I did a do-it-yourself abortion and almost killed myself. I was either asleep or vomiting for 3 days afterward. Throughout the entire ordeal, not once did this bastard visit, call, or even shoot a text asking if I was still alive. 3 whole days. But suddenly, when I broke up with him 3 years later, it's all, "You murdered my child," and "I wanted that baby." He texted me a few days later and said he was going to kill himself. I didn't feel like putting up with him and just called the troopers, told them what was up, and gave them his address. My ex fell out of love with me over 6 months, and I tried to get us back on track. However, he decided to end it. I was extremely heartbroken. Until I learned during those 6 months, he used me intimately, was emotionally cold on purpose, and made fun of me around his friends for trying too hard, as well as my anxiety and depression. At that point, we had been together for over 2 years. Finding that out made it extremely harder to deal with because why would you F with someone like that? I entered a relationship 2 months afterward with a really great guy who had always been there for me and didn't expect anything from me at all. After we started dating for a week, he messaged me and said, "I regret breaking up with you and wanted to get back together." I didn't even have to try to fake that laugh because, man, pathetic people are just gonna pathetic, huh? When I was 17, I dated this trailer trash girl from the next school over. Because I was shy and awkward, I had no relationship skills. So, like any young idiot, I fell wildly in love with the first person that noticed me. Short, blonde, big tits. So fast forward through her cheating on me multiple times, drugs, and her dumping me and fist fighting in all ages Seattle grunge venues, being underage drunk on the Avenue in 1992, Doc Martens in people's faces. Lots of head games, like Sid and Nancy / Kurt and Courtney. Crazy ones drag you through hell. Anyway, 20 years later, after Christmas shopping for my wife and kids, I said, F it, I need a beer. Pull off into this random roadhouse, belly up to the bar, look in the mirror, and there behind me is a former Little Ms. Blonde. Except now, she's shaped like a fire hydrant and has a voice like a tuba. Like if Janis Joplin and a trucker had a baby and she grew up. Because it's Christmas, I ordered a second beer. I brought it to her. I will introduce myself. She gives me a big hug. We find a table and start catching up. I have a home and a family I love. She's still single, parties, and is into bikers. Instantly, she starts talking about all the doing it we had. In pretty good detail, which was flattering, sort of, yet uncomfortable. Then she asks what I'm doing that night. All these awful memories of train wreck relationships come flooding back. Crap I'd emotionally buried and forced myself to forget. Public arguments and fights, drugs, dysfunctional relationship hell. Then I think about the presents in my car, my home, my family. Finished my beer, wished her Merry Christmas, snuffed out my cigarette, got up, walked out, and never looked back. Had girlfriend in high school for almost 2 years. She broke up with me to be with another guy. She tried to place a restraining order on me for no reason. The dean of students told me to just keep clear of her. Then she tricked me into meeting her to barrage me with questions as to why I was avoiding her. B, you tried to get a restraining order placed on me. I broke up with the guy in senior year of high school. 2 weeks later, he called me to tell me that he thought we should break up since he had refused to allow me to break up with him earlier, despite the fact that I said I was done. He said that if I came to my senses, he'd consider taking me back. I told him that was never going to happen, but wished him luck. The fun epilogue of this story comes 2 years after that. I logged into AIM to chat with my college best friend, and lo and behold, he logged on. I said hi and asked how he was doing. He said he had a fiancée, but that there was an issue and asked for a favor. I asked what it was because I was curious. He asked for a picture of my feet. When I asked why, he explained that the only way he could get off was by picturing me coming home from a long day of work on my feet and making him clean my sweaty feet with his tongue. If he could see my feet, he was pretty sure he could get over it. I asked if he'd try role-playing with his fiancée since it was almost certainly the power dynamic he liked and not specifically me, especially since he and I never did anything remotely like that. He said that they'd tried, but it didn't work and it was my feet or he couldn't get hard. He then asked if I'd be willing to boss him around and the woman he was going to marry so that he could maybe come from doing it with her. I logged off of AIM and have never logged in again. I mean, don't just log off. You need to burn that computer. Oh my God. Finally broke up with him after 3 years. His big gesture to get me back, an email about how he couldn't live without me, ended as follows. I get now that you're not a W. That's why I treated you the way I did. I thought you were a W, but now I see you're not. Wow, but still my beating heart. And people say that romance is dead. If we break up, it's just a matter of time before you ask your laptop back and I use it for school, so I'm going to have to drop out and my kids are going to be raised in poverty. Do you really want that in your conscience? Edit. I lent him my extra laptop before I realized he bleeds all of the women in his life dry of all their resources. I wasn't about to let him keep it after the crap he put me through. I got my laptop back when we broke up and he destroyed the power cord and messed up the laptop to the point that it wouldn't run. I fixed it, but lesson learned. Darn, that's some fine crazy logic right there. Please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day. You'll never be with anyone like me. Well, yeah, that's what I'm sure hoping. Edit, wow. Thank you so much for the gold. To everyone for contributing, I came in to work this morning feeling sick and gross, and this has cheered me up immensely. She cheated. I said, so long, get out of my house. She did, moved in with this guy. She showed up a few weeks later with her cat and some belongings and said she made a mistake. Wants me back because she needs me to take care of her. Sorry, what? You're trying to move in while cheating on me and simultaneously asking me to pamper you? Yeah, this is the part where you silently nod, grab the cat, then shut the door and lock it. Proceed to sip your whiskey neat while petting your new car. Edit. AF fam, if you think cats or cars were related, just listen to them purr. I swear you can't tell the difference with your eyes closed. My abusive ex-husband sent me a long impersonal email 3 years after I left him. My favorite part was, we should get back together. I don't want to be with you, but by some miracle of God, I might grow to tolerate you or even enjoy your company. He was serious. I laughed for about 2 minutes and then sent screenshots to my boyfriend. A month after we had broken up, I started dating a new guy. My ex told me that he would cut his hair to look like the new guy's, dress like the new guy, and act like the new guy if I got back with him. That's just pathetic and sad. I don't know, man. I think a lot of these stories are sad, but not necessarily pathetic. Being heartbroken effing sucks, and people just get desperate. People do these same crazy negotiations and prayers when a parent dies. Maybe these people deserve to be broken up with, but I still think calling someone who feels like they will do anything and say anything to be with the one they love again isn't pathetic. Just sad that they didn't act like that in the beginning. He decided to make a grand gesture for my birthday, which was about 6 months after the breakup. He had a cake made in the shape of Australia. He had it shipped to me in a locked steamer trunk, key in the card. All of this was based off a line from Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. She may cry, but her tears will dry when I hand her the keys to a shiny new Australia. This is after I found out that I was the other woman and had started to date someone else. It was just painfully awkward. Side note, the cake was dry. I once dated this guy who literally carved my name into his hand. He said he did it because he couldn't afford a tattoo. And when I broke up with him for it, he said, "But your name is carved into my hand." I'm not sure if that was supposed to get me to stay or if he at that moment realized how stupid he was. I was once friends with a guy who told me he cut his name into his leg after I told him I had no interest in being in a relationship with him. He also told me about a bunch of other self-harm and made me spend a good few nights, including a whole New Year's Eve, talking him out of self-termination. Or so I thought until a mutual friend stayed the weekend at his house, got a good look at both pristine and unscarred legs and arms, and reported this back to me. Little B made the whole thing up because it meant I'd spend hours telling him how much he mattered to people. He knew I was sensitive to it because my family had been extensively affected by it. If I'd had any sense at the time, I'd have called the police round to the family home for a welfare check the first time he did it. I'm just kidding, we're not really broken up. Me. What the F? No, sorry, that's not how this works. Edit, some more info. She broke up with me over the phone, during which I tried to rationalize why, how, what went wrong, etc. I talked with her for a good 30 minutes at least, but she was content with saying, "Sorry, it's over." I rationalized and accepted and was ready to move on. Heart tender, obviously, since the relationship was real for me at the time. At this point is when she said, "Just kidding, we are not really broken up. I was just testing you to see if you would fight for the relationship." I lost my crap. No, No, that's not how any of this works. I hate to break it to you, but your plan backfired. We really are broken up because you do not test me like that. Not like this. My new girlfriend is terrible. I miss you a lot. Like, I sometimes regret leaving you. You are so much better than her. Just so you know, I'm going to dump her soon. After we go on vacation because I'm using her miles to buy my ticket. There are so many things wrong with that. And the vacation was 2 months away. I told him he had made decisions, so I didn't feel bad for the fact that he missed me and never spoke to him again. My ex-husband did this to me. I didn't realize how much I was going to miss you. You understand me better. I call her your name all the time. We were so good together. 1 month before the divorce was final, after he left me to move in with his pregnant girlfriend, I just started laughing at him. I couldn't stop. He got mad and left again. Broke up with a douchebag ex while in Mexico with my mom. My mom. He said I cheated on him and told me my dad died to get away from my spoiled princess ways. He spent the next 6 hours calling me and my mom trying to win me back. Roaming charges were disgusting, so we didn't answer or read the texts. Way too expensive. Finally, my mom got peed and answered the phone. He was breathing heavily. My mom asked what he wanted. He said, I just want to talk to her. You have to let me talk to her. My mom said, fine, talk. He said, all Sarah had to do was, and then my mom hung up because she didn't want to hear more about what I did wrong. After reading over 100 texts about what I did wrong, how awful I was, and how much he misses me, the girl he slept with, the lies he told, the apologies for the lies, the endless litany of how he's changed, etc., I turned off my phone and didn't turn it on until the next morning. That morning I had almost 100 missed calls and 18 voicemails. I didn't listen to any of them. F you, Ken. Remember that previous story where someone said, I don't think these people are pathetic, they're just sad. No, sorry, Ken, you're pathetic. He tried to stop me from leaving by asking what day it was. I was surprised to hear that because it was exactly a year since we got together. I didn't do it on purpose, it just happened so. I answered, why, it's the 5th of December. And he said, please stay with me until the new year. To be in that mess for another 3 weeks? No thank you. The same ex tried to get me back after that by saying that I'm ugly and won't get another man even if I could try to pay him. When I asked how he had tolerated me for so long, then he answered, I could have tolerated you for the rest of my life. Romantic. After telling me she didn't love me, leaving the kids with a friend whilst I was at work so she could go get drunk with her male friend, getting drunk whilst throwing my son a birthday party and texting her male friend whilst locking herself in her bedroom and letting the other parents run the party for her, I was at work. The final straw came when she told me I wasn't invited to a party her brother was throwing, so I had to stay home to watch the kids. She had left herself logged onto social media, so her intercourse messages to her male friend were pinging up every minute or so until he told her the taxi was outside. I changed the locks that night and packed her clothes and put them outside her mom's house. When she came home, she was screaming and throwing bricks at the house, so I told her if she didn't leave, I'd call the police. Drumroll, please. But you can't just turn off 10 years of marriage. You must still love me. Can you remind me why we broke up? I crashed my motorcycle and was in a coma for a week. I have memory loss and can't remember much from the past year. I don't remember breaking up. Things seemed so good. Why did they end? Unbeknownst to him, I was close with one of his friends at that time. None of that ever happened. It was all a complete lie to get me to take pity on him and talk to him. I'm not sure how he planned on making that one work. He was emotionally abusive when we were together. Apparently, he thought he could still manipulate me. Okay, I know it was bad to dump you while you were in intensive care, but you were really bumming me out. You're a lot better now, though, so it's all good. Was in and out of critical condition and had several emergency ops over the course of 5 weeks in hospital. He dumped me over the phone while I was laying in my hospital bed. After I was discharged, he waited 2 months, then tried to come back. He also never came to visit. He said he didn't want to see me that way as it wasn't very attractive. Told him to get effed. Honestly, sounds like the hospital gave you a much-needed boyfriend-ectomy. Backstory. Had a somewhat long-distance relationship, 4-hour drive, so I would visit on weekends. Her ex was caught for possession and was somehow given work release from jail. It was weird, North Carolina, but he only went to serve time on weekends. I didn't find out right away, but he moved back in with her. When I finally caught her, she said, He stays here during the week and has his own room. No bed in the said room. I tell her I'm leaving her. You can't, you need me, and you're nothing without me. If you leave, I'll tell your chain of command you hit me. In the military, they take that very seriously, and you're guilty until proven innocent. I never laid a hand on her, but was afraid of all the trouble I'd have to deal with until everything would get dropped. So I stayed for a few more months. Worst time of my life. You don't want to end up alone like your aunt, do you? For the record, my aunt is 55, owns her own home, and has just retired. She travels internationally at least twice a year and lives quite happily and comfortably. He was referring to the fact that she does not have children and likes to cut her hair quite short, as do I. This is also the man who, after 6 years together, informed me he did not want children, while I had always been explicit in my desire for kids one day. Meh, if I turn out like my aunt, I think I'll be more than fine, although according to the above-mentioned font of knowledge, short hair on women indicates insecurity and mental illness. Yet to see either, but I'll keep you informed. Broke up with my borderline pedophile ex-boyfriend when I was 21. We started dating when I was 16 and he was 25. He has rich grandparents that would take us to Disney every year, sometimes twice a year, but anyway. I broke up with him and I remember he goes, "My grandparents would have bought you a car." Then he dated a 17-year-old promptly after me, and when she broke up with him, he says to her, "My grandparents would have taken you to Disney World." I will live on this bench. I will sleep here until you come out here and talk to me and take me back. Left for college an hour away from home, my high school boyfriend said I was selfish for going so far away from him, and never stopped trying to get me to decline a full ride to a great private college. Helps me move into my dorm. "Oh, this place is amazing. You're going to love it here. What a great decision." Relative to the rest of the relationship, things were fine after that, but I couldn't do it after that crap. Broke up a little over a month into school in front of my dorm building. No one was around, but I did not think that through well. He wouldn't let me leave, tried to follow me into the building when I got up, knew my schedule, followed me around the rest of the evening. Holed up in my room for the night, he said he was going to wait as long as it took on the same bench I broke up with him. He was on that bench for a while. Lol. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.